Malawi has one of the world's highest rates of child marriage, but since a new marriage law came into effect, one person has been on a mission to reverse that trend.
The Nigerian government looks to the nation's vast solid mineral resources to help ease the loss of revenues from the global decline in oil prices.
And South Africa's coffee scene is booming, driven by bitter beans and discerning drinkers of one of the world's favorite brews. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Are at Channels Television here in Lagos. Stay tuned the next half hour for news and stories from Nigeria and the world.
And I'm Vincent McCory, Voice of America, coming to you from our global headquarters in Washington. Now, thousands of people held vigils across the United States Sunday to honor the 49 people shot dead at an Orlando, Florida nightclub that caters to gays in the worst mass killing in the U.S. history. Hundreds gathered in New York, and vigils for the shooting victims were also held in Orlando, Boston, Chicago, and San Francisco. The identified gunman, Omar Martin, was a U.S. citizen, the son of Afghan parents. Cynthia also has some sad news from Nigeria.
Well, the nation has been remembering former national football coach Stephen Keshi, who died on June the 8th. Keshi is the only Nigerian to have won the African Nations Cup both as a player and a coach. I'm joined now by Channel Sports editor Austin Okonakwan to discuss Keshi's life and the legacy he left in Nigerian football. Austin, thank you so much and welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. Good to be here.
It's indeed good to be here, even though it's on a sad note.
That's
and
right.
As BET Africa said, a super ego has fallen. Can you tell us about the significance of Keshi's life, what he brought to the plate?
Keshi lived a life of influence. He touched lives in so many ways. He was so confident about the things he believed in. In some areas, his confidence was misinterpreted as pride, but he didn't care. Keshi was an advocate for grassroots football development. He could go to the streets where nobody knows any player, and then he tells this guy, look, I'm taking you to the senior men's national team. He was that confident. And if someone could give you that sort of confidence about your own self, you had no choice but to believe in yourself. That was what Coach Stephen Keshi was. He was picked straight from St. Finbar's College into the Super Eagles. Now tell that kind of man what it means to believe in yourself. He also brought a crazy change to Nigerian football. He came at a time when our football was struggling, and he knew he needed to turn things around. It was going to be very difficult, but he did it. He went to the Cup of Nations in 2013 with almost unknown players, but only those players can tell us what Coach Stephen Keshi did with them, the sort of motivation, the sort of inspiration he passed to them that they eventually won that competition. For close to 19 years, Nigeria had not won the African Cup of Nations. He changed it. So,
Austin, it's really, from what you say and from what we know about the late Stephen Keshi, he was not only an icon that was celebrated locally, but also globally. Are you surprised in the least with the kind of reactions we've seen on a global note?
Wow. It's been an outpour of love and affection for Coach Stephen Keshi. And I just got off the phone with a member of his family, and he says, Austin, I wish he was alive to see how much love the world had for him. You mentioned BET Africa. There's been love from FIFA, CAF, CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, world leaders, everyone saying, look, this guy was a legend, iconic football. I keep hearing what Kalusha Boala says. He's the former captain of the Zambian national team. He says he can't believe Coach Stephen Keshi is gone.
Can you tell us more about the accomplishments of the late Stephen Keshi, especially on a global note?
Massive, Cynthia, massive. A lot of people just know him as Coach Stephen Keshi. Come on, why are we forgetting that he was a fantastic footballer? Back in the day, Anderlecht used to be what you know your Chelsea to be now, your Real Madrid, your Barcelona. He was in fact, he's the only Nigerian to have captained a top club in Europe. He was that big. He was a defender with a difference. No one was called a big boss. He was commanding. He had this trademark point when he's in the midfield. He's telling the players, you go here, you go there. He was always in charge.
Well, in one word, if you could summarize, if it's possible to summarize the legacy That was Stephen Keshi. That is Stephen Keshi. What would that word be if you could find one?
I've been trying, and I keep bringing it back to what it was to me. I get off my show every morning in the last 3 months, and Coach Stephen Keshi will call me and say, fantastic, you finished it off like a fine player. I think I'll call him a transformer. He just knew how to turn things around. He will be missed.
He will indeed be missed. Yeah. Austin, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and also your input on Africa 54. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, as Benjamin Franklin famously said, in this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes. But in Ghana, people can choose to be buried in style in a coffin in the shape of a fish, guitar, or a fancy car. The coffins have been in vogue since the 1950s, and some seem like works of art. Emily Eob reports.
In his small workshop outside the capital, Accra, coffin maker Sedi Kwei is working on his latest creation.
It's a stream. It will take me about 2 weeks. It's a market woman who sells streams. Yeah.
This is just one of the many figurative coffins that the little shop has become famous for in the past few decades, since Kwai's father got the idea to build an airplane-shaped coffin for his late mother, who always wanted to fly in one. He was inspired by the traditional palanquin used to carry important people. The design often reflects the profession or the character of the deceased: a bullet for a soldier, a church for a clergyman, or a tiger to symbolize strength. The prices depend on the design and type of wood. But in Ghana, families typically spare no expense for funerals.
We believe in our ancestors, you know. When the person was alive and he says something, you need to do it.
Figurative coffins are by no means the norm in Ghana, but Kwai says the market is doing well. He produces about 10 coffins per month with his 7 apprentices.
I think the business is now going up and up. It's now spreading all the world. Last year we did an organ for a musician and another one spanner for mechanic. We send it to Britain.
And there are also a more recent kind of buyers, art collectors and galleries. This bulb-shaped coffin, exhibited in a famous gallery in Abidjan, is the creation of Kwai's cousin, Joseph Achong, also known as Padjo. Over the years, he has sold coffins to galleries in the Netherlands, in the US and in the UK. A few years ago, a Porsche-shaped coffin he made sold for $9,000. His international customers make up for about 1/4 of his sales. Today, he is working with his son on a tortoise-shaped palanquin for a local chief.
The price? Yes. It's a very big price.
It will take the man 2 weeks to make it. Padjo, like Kwai, works without blueprints. Soon, his son Jacob is meant to take over the family business. Emily Eob for VOA News in Accra.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join us on Facebook and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Now, coming up, Nigeria's petroleum revenues. Can mining minerals make more money? We'll find out after the break.